Is the Chinese government really paying foreign vloggers and YouTubers to make videos about the good side of China? Many stories about China have not been told for a long time. Recently, many YouTubers are sharing these stories, and so many people feel like they are being biased. They are not being biased, it's just the truth that had not been told before. Is it possible for the Chinese government to pay all these YouTubers without anyone finding out? Why is it that when other vloggers out of China, in the USA, around Asian countries, in Europe, or even Africa, when they make videos about their own countries or people who go to visit these countries, no one says they are paid. No one says propaganda. If I go to New York, if I go to Chicago and I say, oh, it's an amazing place, everyone will believe me. Everyone will say, oh, that's great. But when foreign YouTubers come to China and they make videos about their realities and life here in China, why do so many people come to the comment section and say, oh, you are paid or you are sponsored or everything you are talking about is not true? Welcome back to this channel. This is Willene. I'm a YouTuber here in China sharing my real life experiences, of course, living in China for 6 years. And recently, I saw a couple of comments which I've replied to. We have had some chats. Of course, before it's always been there. So many people have been talking about YouTubers getting paid by the Chinese government, which is really funny. And I don't blame all those people. That's why I had to come out here today to make this video to clarify some stuff for everyone, not just for myself, because I believe that so many people deserve to actually know the truth. And just like myself, before I came to China, there are many other YouTubers here in China who also realized the truth about China when they got to China. And despite all these people sharing the reality of life in China, so many people still say that it's not real or it's just propaganda. When we share our real life experiences here in China, so many people say that we are getting paid and it's not real, or the videos we make, the people we talk to, is not actually true. But why would we do this? China has come a long way. There are more than 1.4 billion people in China. And when we talk about China being safe or China being free, being amazing, it doesn't mean China is perfect. China is nowhere near perfect. Neither is any other country in the world. But when we talk about this, people will say, oh, we are bad people, or we are talking about all of this because we got some money. Even foreign YouTubers who come to China, travel around, and say the same thing, people still say that maybe they were sponsored or they were paid by the Chinese government. Really? Now, I've lived here in China for about 6 years or more, and I've had so many different experiences traveling across many, many provinces from Hunan through Xinjiang, through Guangdong, Shanghai, Jiangsu, Beijing, and of course, many other places. And I've met many amazing people. And it's nowhere near what people always say in the media. It actually makes me really sad when I see people who keep on bashing YouTubers who make videos about their life in China, the reality of living in China, and all their real experiences. And that's because in many other countries, when people make videos, no one bashes them. Actually, if you check online, if you check here on YouTube and on many platforms, you'll realize that there are so many videos spreading hate, spreading negativity against not just China, but many smaller countries that people do not really know a lot about. Well, the truth is that China used to be closed in the past. So there are so many things that people do not understand about how China works, the system of governance here in China, and everything else, just the way of life, the culture of the Chinese people, which is quite similar to that of other Asian countries. But when we as foreigners come here and share what we have learned so far, so many people think that it's not real. And the funniest part about it all is that China is open for so many people to be able to come to China and visit and have the same experience like us. And of course, so many people have come to China and they have experienced it. Before I came to China, I used to feel the same way. I had no idea about the reality of living here in China. I had no details about the truth of life here in China, but I was so wrong when I got here. And everything I've learned, I've grown personally, and my mindset is now much broad. And I understand so many aspects about life in general because I've learned so much about the culture, tolerance, and so many other aspects. Now, when we make all these videos, it doesn't mean that we hate another country. I do not hate any country. I do not hate the USA. I do not hate any African country. I do not hate any European country. Actually, I love every country and I would love to live in any country around the world. And if we are only sharing our experiences here and sometimes doing a comparison to the way that our governments work in our own various countries, I think it's a good thing because sometimes you will never know how good something is if you haven't seen the bad. You will not know how happy life can be if you haven't experienced sad times. And just like so many people say every time, you can't know the importance of something until you lose it. So I think that with the many YouTubers and vloggers being here in China sharing their real life experiences, it's just because what we thought in the past that was the case about China was not the reality when we got here into China. It's quite sad, but it's just the truth. And we do not even need to get paid for that. There's no reason why. Niha, niha, niha. And we do not even need to get paid for that. There's no reason why people will come to China, and when you see an amazing life here in China, you will go and ask for money to be able to share your real life experiences. China didn't get to this level by asking YouTubers to share good things about China. I think they focused and built their country. About 40 years ago, China wasn't like this. There was actually so much trouble in China about 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. Of course, there was hunger, there was poverty, there were difficulties. But when you look at the resilience of the Chinese people, when you look at how far China has come, that's the reason why I believe anyone who has lived in China for about 6 months and studied the history of China can easily understand that it's something that we need to appreciate. I myself, I studied history while in high school, and I studied about Mao Zedong and about most of the history, the communist history here in China. And coming here to China right now and seeing all the difference, all the development, and the strategies that China is doing to be able to make the world a better place, it's really amazing. The truth is that China is not perfect. China has its flaws, just like every other country. I've said this so many times on many of my videos. And of course, China also has a history. Every country has a history, actually. When you look at the USA, you look at all countries across Europe, Africa, we all have dark times in our history. But when people start pointing fingers at one country and not pointing fingers at another, what can we really say that they are trying to do? Because the point that so many people say every time is China did that in the past, China did this in the past, but many other countries also did the same in the past. What we need to look at right now is what every country's government is doing right now to make lives better for every citizen. I'm just a normal person. I'm no expert in politics. I'm no expert in the best life for every human being. But I'm just a citizen of the world, and I've had my own fair share of experiences in life. And I've been lucky and opportune to travel and experience different cultures, different religions, and talk to different people from various ethnicities. So I think that when I put all of these my experiences together, including my deep research and of course the day-to-day happenings, I just feel like there's so much that we all can share. Everyone can start a YouTube channel. Everyone can share their point of view. Of course, not spreading hate. Sometimes I'm really shocked when I go to some videos that spread hate, talk about hating China or hating the Chinese government or hating America or hating the American government. No government is perfect, that's the truth. What we try to point out are some shortcomings of our governments which could be made better. For example, look at China. Within the past 30 years, China has come a long way. Now, most of the citizens here in China barely go hungry as compared to many years ago. And the railway lines, the railway stations, the public facilities that are built, subways, the homes that are built, the affordability of many aspects here in China is just mind blowing. And I think that's what all our governments need to do to make lives better for the citizens. It's not easy to lift up to 800 million people out of poverty. China has 1.4 billion people. The manner in which China will be governed, it's not the same way that a country of 200, 300 million people, 100 million people, or 50 million people will be governed. We can compare China to India, we can compare China to many other countries, but you see that even though China is not perfect, they are doing the best with the population that they have. And I think that's something that we all can definitely learn from. I've seen how bad a government can be. I've experienced a bad system, but it doesn't mean that change can't come. So when we see the change in China, it's just to appreciate. And again, I'm not saying that China is just a very perfect place or all the systems or laws here in China are great or everyone here in China is perfect. No. And I'm not saying that everyone in the US is bad or everyone that lives in the USA or across Europe are bad or the system is bad. No. If you've been watching most of my videos on this channel, I just try to point out things that can be fixed. Because the truth is that no matter where we live in the world, if I live in Africa, if I live in Asia, if I live in Europe, Australia, I believe that we all have the same needs, the same wants. If you have a family, a wife or a husband, a kid, all you want is for safety, happiness, peace to be your priority. And how can all of this be achieved? All of this can be achieved through the government policies that are put in place to enable us attain that level of peace and security. And I think that's what China has been fighting for over the past years, and we are seeing it come to fruition. So when many vloggers or YouTubers come to China and they share their real life experiences and say the truth about what they see and experience here in China, is actually the reality, is the truth. These are not lies. And it's not like all the YouTubers that speak about this hate another country. I do not hate any other country. I would love to live in any other country in the world and explore and learn. Because the truth is that we as humans need to keep learning and improving ourselves. Maybe there was something that I didn't know about a few years ago or a few months ago, but now I have learned about it and it's different. And there are still people who do not know about what I've learned so far. So that's the reason why I share my real experiences on this channel. The fact that someone has a different view from myself doesn't mean that that person is a bad person. Everyone has different views at different points in time of their life. But then how can we learn? We can learn by interacting with each other. And of course, if you are watching this video right now and you have a different idea from everything I'm saying, or you have your own perspectives, feel free to drop it down in the comments. And of course, we can talk about it and learn from each other. I just hope that more people can understand that the world is diverse. That's the reason why there's different races and ethnicities in the world, and there are different religions, different types of laws, different types of cultures, which makes the world a happy place. So I just hope that everyone can understand that we can live in harmony and learn from each other. China is not perfect. The USA is not perfect. Countries across Africa, across Europe, Australia are not perfect. Countries here in Asia are not perfect. But let's try to identify the things that are wrong in our governments, in our systems of governance, and try to fix those things. And I appreciate you all so much for always watching these videos, liking, commenting, subscribing. It really means a lot to me, and I hope that we can build a stronger community and keep sharing these videos. Even if I leave China, China will still always have a good place in my heart, because the truth is that I will not be here in China forever. One day I'll move along, go to another country or go to my country and keep traveling around and learning as much as I can, experiencing the world. That's my dream, that's my hope. We're only here for a short time, not a long time. So I just hope that as we keep doing our best, let's try to keep an open mind and understand other cultures that are different from ours. There's no specific culture that is the best. But what we just need are the values, good and bad, happy and sad. So you just need to think about not just yourself, but also your neighbor. Now, I just had to come out here to make this video because recently I've been seeing so many different comments on foreign YouTubers channels making videos here in China about the amazing life here in China, and so many people are hating on these YouTubers or vloggers just for sharing their real life experiences. It's a bright day here in Guangdong, China, and if you have watched onto this point, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm beyond grateful. Keep watching the videos, keep liking, keep sharing, and I appreciate you. Of course, there's so much more to come. Remember, this is Willene. See you next time.